Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our session on the Community Wildfire Safety Program. My name is Dave Meyer, and I'm the Senior Manager for PG&E's Customer Emergency Operations Team, and I'll be moderating our webinar tonight from my home office in Sacramento County. We're here to share information about what we're doing to reduce wildfire risk and make our system safer for our customers and the communities we serve. First, I'm going to cover a few housekeeping items for the presentation tonight. We do have the option to receive this information in American Sign Language. You can access that translation by clicking the link that's being provided in the chat. If you'd like to receive this information in another language, we will be hosting translated presentations this summer. You can check our website at pge.com/webinars for an updated webinar schedule and to find all of our webinars, including those that are being offered in other languages. Tonight, if you want to view real-time closed captions in English, Spanish, or Chinese, you can click the CC button in the bottom right corner of your screen, and then you can change the playback language by clicking Settings and adjusting the caption and subtitle language. We want to make sure you have an opportunity to ask questions and give us your feedback. The presentation tonight will be about 30 minutes, and there will be plenty of time for Q&A at the end. If you'd like to ask a question, you can submit that at any time through the chat. The questions will only come through on our end, so don't be alarmed if you aren't seeing questions from others in the chat. We'll answer all the questions at the end after the live presentation. We'll go through them and ask them and answer them with our panel here. If for some reason we aren't able to get to your question, please feel free to reach out to our dedicated email address for the program. That's wildfiresafety@pge.com. and our team will respond to you. We will also be recording today's presentation and posting it along with the slides at pge.com/webinars. It takes about a week to get everything packaged up and posted to the web, so check back in about a week if you're interested in sharing or reviewing the presentation tonight. With that, I will hand it over to our Regional Safety Director, Dan Kieferl, to start this webinar as we start all of our meetings at PG&E with a quick safety moment.
Thank you, Dave. As we head into wildfire season, we encourage everyone to make sure that we're prepared for any natural disasters or emergencies. You can do that by building a disaster supply kit for you and your family, or even your business. You can also make sure that you include the necessities: food, water, medications, flashlights, first aid kits, a broader list of of emergency contacts, and also making sure that you have more tools to ensure that you're keeping yourself and your family safe. For information on how to prepare for an emergency, you can visit safetyactioncenter.pgne.com. And now that we're off to a safe start, I'll hand it back to Dave to discuss our agenda.
All right, thank you, Dan. So today we're going to talk about how we identify wildfire risk and then reduce that risk through our Community Wildfire Safety Program. We'll talk about the wildfire safety work in your community in Santa Clara County. That's including undergrounding, overhead system hardening, vegetation management, and then some of the improvements we're making to help with situational awareness. And then we'll have an overview of our enhanced power line safety settings and our public safety power shutoff programs. And then we'll close with resources available to our customers before we move into the Q&A. So I'd like to introduce you to our PG&E team tonight. Joining me are Teresa Alvarado. She's the Regional Vice President of the South Bay and Central Coast region. You just met Dan Kieferl, who's the Regional Safety Director in the region, and Christina Ramos is our Local Government Affairs Representative. So let's discuss our Community Wildfire Safety Program and the tools we use to reduce the risk of wildfire in your community. I'd like to turn it over to Teresa, your Regional Vice President.
Thank you so much, Dave. Appreciate all of you being with us tonight. Again, my name is Teresa Alvarado. I'm the Vice President for the South Bay and Central Coast region, and I am joining tonight's meeting from my home in San Jose, where I was born and raised. The first step in making your community safer is to identify where wildfire risk is the greatest. And our high fire risk area map provides us with an understanding of exactly where risk exists in Santa Clara County. Once we've identified the potential risk, we then target our wildfire mitigation efforts in the highest risk areas. So we launched our community wildfire safety program in 2018 to help keep customers and communities safe in the face of growing wildfire risk around the state and around the West Coast, frankly. Over the past 5 years, we've made significant progress in making our system safe for our customers. We're preventing wildfires by strengthening the system with stronger poles and covered power lines, by keeping trees a safe distance from power lines, by undergrounding 10,000 miles of power lines, and by implementing public safety power shutoffs as a tool of last resort when people's safety, lives, homes, and businesses may be in danger of wildfires. We are reducing the impact of outages by making safety settings even smarter and using new technologies to better target our safety work. And we're providing resources more effectively by sharing additional information through online tools, expanding support for our most vulnerable and highly impacted customers, and exploring new partnerships with community-based organizations. We are working hard to reduce the risk as well as the impact on our customers, but we know we have a lot more to do. So since launching the program, our efforts have eliminated 90% of wildfire risk from our system. Our wildfire prevention work includes regular ongoing inspections and patrols to help keep trees and other vegetation a safe distance from power lines. We inspect approximately 100,000 miles of overhead power lines across our service territory every year, with some locations patrolled multiple times a year. We've also improved and refined programs and implemented technology that helps us to better monitor, forecast, and respond to wildfire risk. We've built and installed our own network of high-definition cameras and weather stations to better predict and respond to severe weather threats. These give us insight into high fire risk areas and improve our weather forecasting capabilities. And our wildfire prevention efforts also include partnerships with CAL FIRE, the U.S. Forest Service, and local fire departments. We're also making progress every day on our commitment to rebuild our electric system from the underground up to prevent wildfires and improve reliability for our customers. Again, we're strengthening our poles, covering power lines, and undergrounding 10,000 miles of power lines in high fire risk areas. While we rebuild the system over the next several years, we're also taking immediate steps to keep customers safe by turning off power during severe weather to help prevent wildfires. We know that losing power disrupts people's lives and can be dangerous as well. Through advancing technology, including enhanced safety settings on power lines and sectionalizing devices that separate the grid into smaller sections, we're able to lessen the impact of wildfire safety power outages and the impact that they have on our customers. So the solutions that we have in place already are making the system safer, and we'll continue to work every day to deliver safe and reliable energy to our hometowns. In the next section, we're going to talk about our new work to improve reliability and lower the risk of wildfire in the community. So here you can see a map of completed and planned work in and around our community. We'll discuss each of our community wildfire and safety programs in more depth, but this slide provides an overview of the work being done, including completed overhead system hardening miles, sectionalizing devices, which I mentioned earlier, and this is where all the locations that they've been installed, weather stations installed, and high definition cameras that have been installed. So as you can see, we are prioritizing wildfire safety work in the highest risk areas in the community. And I'll also note that there is one non-wildfire safety related project that we've included on this map. It's a project that is being done to improve reliability for approximately 4,250 customers in the Almaden Valley who've experienced a significant number of outages related to enhanced power line safety settings. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But those improvements that I mentioned are going to include undergrounding a new section of power lines along the Almaden Expressway. This work, which totals just over a mile of undergrounding, is outside of a high fire risk area, but will allow us to route electricity to customers in a way that avoids potential enhanced power line safety settings related to the location of our lines in high fire risk areas. Again, we can talk about that a little bit more. So this improvement will be especially helpful for customers located east and west of the Almaden Expressway from approximately Villa Valiente to Harry Road. Project timelines are still being finalized, but we're currently anticipating construction will begin late this year and will be completed by the middle of next year. So again, these timelines are preliminary and subject to change. So with regard to our vegetation management, our work to minimize wildfires doesn't stop with just undergrounding, although it's a huge part of the program, but also with maintaining our trees, that making sure that they are a safe distance from our power lines. So we inspect about 100,000 miles of overhead power lines a year. We prune or cut down more than 1 million trees that are unsafe. We address dead, dying, and hazard trees. We do more trimming in places that have had a high volume of vegetation-caused outages. And together, this work reduces wildfire risk, improves reliability for our customers, and makes our electric system stronger. We conduct vegetation work across our service area to keep trees a safe distance from power lines. And in non-high fire threat districts, say that 5 times fast, we work year-round to meet state standards and maintain a minimum of 1.5 feet clearance around the lines. In high fire threat districts, if you can move to the next slide, please, Savannah. Thank you. In high fire threat districts, we complete the same year-round work and do additional inspections and tree pruning or removals to keep greater clearances and lower wildfire risk. This includes maintaining a minimum 4-foot clearance around the lines and removing trees that pose a safety concern. Because of our work, you may see PG&E and contractor trucks and crews in your neighborhood to keep trees and brush away from electric lines and equipment. So for more information about our vegetation management work, you can always go to pge.com/trees. We're also committed to partnering with our customers and communities on this important safety work. If any safety work, next slide, please. If any safety work is planned on your property, you can expect an advance notification either by text message or by email. You might see crews conducting inspections, which include PG&E or contract inspectors. You may see crews doing tree work, like trimming or removing trees that were identified as a safety concern during the inspections. Or you might see crews making safety and quality checks, which include crews performing follow-up inspections to make sure that our work meets required safety standards. And we are reducing wildfire risk by strengthening poles and covering power lines. We call this overhead system hardening. Over the past 5 years, we've completed 11 overhead system hardening line miles in Santa Clara County. And the system hardening work helps reduce the risk of wildfire, enhances long-term safety, especially during times of high fire threat, significantly improves reliability during winter weather, and in certain cases, reduces public safety power shutoffs. So to give us insight into high fire risk areas and improve weather forecasting capabilities, we've built and installed our own network of high definition cameras and weather stations to better predict and respond to severe weather threats. In 2022, we reached our goal of 600 total high definition cameras installed, allowing us the ability to see more than 90% of the high fire risk areas that we serve. Our Hazard Awareness and Warning Center monitors and uses the cameras to help prevent and respond to wildfires. And we also share those cameras with CAL FIRE so that they can see what we're seeing. And in 2022, we installed 4 weather stations and 3 high definition cameras in Santa Clara County. You can also see the cameras and stations installed in areas surrounding the community by visiting pge.com/weather. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Dave to talk about our wildfire safety outages.
Thank you, Teresa. So we're going to share some more about the potential wildfire safety outages that could occur and some important updates for this year. So in 2021, we started a pilot of about 170 circuits in the highest fire risk areas and installed more sensitive safety settings. We call them enhanced power line safety settings. So these advanced settings automatically turn off the power within a tenth of a second if there's a problem, so to help stop wildfires before they have a chance to start. Essentially, by reducing the amount of time that a fault is on the system, could be a tree branch touching a line like we see here in this graphic, less energy is released, so that reduces the chance of an ignition. In 2022, we expanded the enhanced power line safety settings to protect every customer who lives in a high fire risk area. We continued to see elevated wildfire risk throughout 2022 as the drought continued, but despite that higher risk, there was a 68% reduction in reportable ignitions and a 99% reduction in ignition impact last year, which means that nearly all the fires that started were smaller and impacted less acres, despite the very dry conditions we saw. If there's a hazard and the power is automatically turned off, we then check the line for damage before turning power back on. Those patrols can be done on the ground via foot or by vehicle, or in the air with a helicopter. So 100% of the electric circuits in the high fire risk areas in Santa Clara County are protected by these enhanced safety settings. We'll show a map here in a moment to help see where those areas are. And while the settings help make the electric system safer, customers may experience unplanned outages. If there's an outage on an EPSS protected line, our crews will work to identify the outage causes and repair the damage, and then they can restore the power. We also do a detailed outage review to identify causes and where there may be opportunities to improve reliability for our customers. That review helps us figure out what steps we can take to minimize the impact of outages and improve overall reliability going forward. So here you can see an overview of the identified causes of outages that customers in Santa Clara County may have experienced since the program began in 2021 through now in 2023 with the EPSS program in place. In some cases, we aren't able to determine the cause of an outage on an EPSS protected line. Those undetermined causes could be something like a branch or an animal that contacted the power line, and then when our crews arrive, they can't find it. So you can imagine a branch that falls across two wires, it causes a fault, and then falls to the ground. Our crews go out to patrol and don't see that stick amongst the rest of them or that branch amongst the rest of them on the ground. So it's an undetermined cause. And those unknown causes accounted for 45% of all outages in Santa Clara County of these EPSS outages. We're committed to keeping customers protected from wildfires while also delivering reliable energy. So every step of the way, we're improving in our efforts to keep the power on, but without sacrificing safety. And we're aware that some customers in Santa Clara County have experienced multiple outages, and we're working hard to reduce those impacts, both the number of outages and the overall length of those service interruptions. We understand how difficult it can be to lose power at your home or at your business. After outages on lines with EPSS settings, our team will conduct detailed reviews, as I mentioned, to find the common causes and look for ways to reduce the impact of any future outages. So some of the actions we took in your specific county are included here, and the lines we made changes on are kind of highlighted in that blue, teal, green color within the high fire risk areas. We've installed fault indicators to help us speed up getting the power back on. These are essentially little lights that are on the power line that help our crew quickly find fault locations, so then they can get the power back on more quickly. We've adjusted the sensitivity of the safety settings to make sure they're appropriate for the area they're protecting. We've installed bird and animal guards to keep those animals away from power lines. We've temporarily transferred some customers to different circuits to further decrease the impact of outages where that's an option. We've obviously trimmed trees near power lines, as Teresa was covering earlier, And we've installed sectionalizing devices that essentially break the grid into smaller chunks. So when an outage does occur, it impacts fewer customers and gives us more options when we're restoring customers. And although some areas saw challenges with reliability, over 80% of our customers across our service territory experienced 2 or fewer outages while being protected by EPSS in 2022. So now we'll shift gears a little and share more on public safety power shutoffs. So when there are really high winds that can cause tree branches or debris to come in contact with electric lines, that could cause damage to equipment and potentially lead to wind-driven wildfires. So as a result, we may need to turn off power during severe weather to help prevent wildfires. That's what we call a public safety power shutoff, or PSPS. For the safety of our customers and our communities, PSPS continues to be a tool in the toolbox that we use as a last resort during severe weather. Every wildfire season is different. We received a lot of rain and snow over the past few months, but we know the dry conditions in late summer and fall are still a significant risk. Actual real-time conditions will determine if we need to shut off power to ensure safety of the communities we serve. So we review wildfire risk daily to determine whether safety settings are needed to protect customers. If the conditions do not meet the need, EPSS is disabled to help prevent unnecessary outages. We activate EPSS when we have a combination of dry fuels, low humidity, and wind plays a factor as well, but less so than PSPS. Then on the other side, we similarly review a combination of factors when deciding if we need to turn off power for PSPS. Those factors include low humidity, generally 30% and below, forecasted high winds. Those are in particular sustained winds above 19 miles an hour and gusts above the 30 to 40 mile per hour range. We're looking for a red flag warning that's declared by the National Weather Service, and the condition of the dry material on the ground and low moisture content in that vegetation, grasses, shrubs, and trees. And then we're using real-time observations from our Hazard Awareness and Warning Center and from our crews that are working across our service territory. We take all that into account before making that very impactful decision whether or not a PSPS event may be necessary. The notifications that customers receive also vary between these two programs and the two types of outages. Because outages on EPSS-enabled power lines are automatic, they're the result of an actual fault, we aren't able to provide advance notice of those. However, customers can expect automated calls, texts, and emails, giving them an estimate of when the power will be back on. After that initial notification sent, we send our crews to assess the power lines and the equipment in the area. We may revise that estimated restoration time. If there's damage, we need to make repairs, or that can take longer than we initially thought when the outage occurred. We then make the repairs and we restore power and send the notification that power has been restored. PSPS, on the other hand, being a weather-driven event, we can typically see it coming in the forecast, so we have the opportunity to inform customers in advance. These notifications go out to our agency and county and city partners and our customers during key milestones throughout the event. The first one is typically about 2 days before the power goes off. Then we send another notification about a day before the power goes off. And then we have one 1 to 4 hours before the power is turned off. That message tends to change from we may need to turn off power to being more direct and stating we plan to turn off power. When we're in the 1 to 4 hour range, we have a pretty clear meteorology forecast to be able to make that decision. Then we send notifications when the power actually goes off. Then when the weather has passed, we send what we call an all clear from a weather perspective when the weather's gone back down below those PSPS thresholds. Then we'll provide updates if the estimated restoration time changes, and once the power has been restored, we will send that final notification. These notifications can go out via call, text, or email. Customers can give us any and all methods of communicating with them. And the notifications from that 1 to 4 hour warning onward, from the power going off through restoration, will be sent both day and night if needed to make sure that customers are aware of what's going on. For customers who are not a PG&E account holder or who want to receive notifications for another location. So if you are renting a location and the landlord is the account holder, you can still sign up for notifications. Or if you want to sign up for your child's school, your workplace, an elderly relative maybe, we have address alerts available that are also available in 16 languages via phone call and text for PSPS events. We encourage customers to review the contact information we have on file by visiting pge.com/mywildfirealerts. We also provide PSPS updates at pge.com, provide them to local news outlets and radio, and through social media. For information on the status of any current outage, whether it be related to one of the wildfire safety programs or any outage, and to see information on upcoming PSPS events, customers can visit our outage center. That's at pge.com/outages. And with that, I'll hand it over to Christina Ramos, who will talk more about the resources that are available to customers in your community.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Again, for those of you who are first time meeting me, my name is Christina Ramos. I am the local government affairs representative for Santa Clara County, and which is where I'm born and raised and currently am residing for this presentation. So we know power outages have an impact on you and our community, and I'm here to let you know what resources are available to you. So one, during a public safety power shutoff, we open local community resource centers, and these are safe locations where you can meet basic power needs, such as charging your medical equipment or electronic devices. And here you are also able to access up-to-date information about the PSPS and get any water, snacks, or essential items you may need. For information on where these locations are, you can visit pge.com/CRC, which stands for our Community Resource Center. In addition, we are working with the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers and 16 participating disability disaster access and resource centers to provide support before and during our public safety power shutoffs. This support includes hotel stays, food stipends, and transportation as needed for eligible customers with access and functional needs. And if you or another member of your household depends on electricity for medical needs, please reach out to your local disability disaster access and resource center prior to a PSPS for assistance. We also are continuing to provide portable batteries to customers and refrigeration for medication as part of the Portable Battery Program and the Disability Disaster Access and Resources Program, or the DDAR. Since the program's inception in 2020, we have been able to distribute more than 18,000 portable batteries to eligible customers. For 2023, changes to our backup power programs include increased funding and expansion of eligibility for the generator and battery rebate program for customers who live in what we have our Tier 2 and 3 high fire threat districts and are served by circuits protected by the Enhanced Power Line Safety Settings, or EPSS. We have expanded eligibility for the Portable Battery Program, and this program is available for medical baseline and self-identified vulnerable customers with assisted technology or durable medical equipment who experienced at least one public safety power shutoff in 2021 or 5 or more outages on an EPSS protected circuit in 2022. And you can find this information, again, visiting our pge.com/portable battery. And you'll get all the eligibility requirements there. Last year, PG&E developed a meter design to help our customers use backup power during emergency outages. These meters provide a safe and convenient way to connect portable generator power to your home in just a few minutes. And this program is free to customers with a compatible generator. We will be reopening the applications for eligible customers later on in the year. So follow that information again at pgne.com/transfermeter. That's pgne.com/transfermeter. We also provided financial incentives for eligible customers through the Self-Generation Incentive Program. This program offers rebates to save on energy storage systems in your home and business. So whether there's an outage that's planned or unplanned, a battery would allow you to have a backup power for your home or business and potentially reduce energy costs. If you're interested in more information, please visit pgne.com. This one is /C. I'm sorry. I'm reading the S as a C. My apologies. It's pgne.com/SGIP. That's SGIP. And now I'll turn it back to Daniel, who will have more information on customer safety resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Along with the resources we've discussed today, we have additional safety information available for you. More customer resources and information about wildfire safety efforts can be found at pgne.com/wildfire safety. And to support our customers who rely on power for health and safety, we're partnering with the California network of 211 to provide help when it's needed the most. 211 is a free confidential calling and texting service that provides 24/7 connections to local resources and assist with emergency preparedness planning to minimize the hardships that could be caused by safety outages. Our Report It Safety app provides an opportunity for all our customers to report and submit photos of non-emergency safety concerns directly to us. You can prepare for the wildfire season by visiting safetyactioncenter.pgne.com to find videos and information about customer support, safety programs, preparedness tips, and more for the wildfire season. I will now pass it back to Dave as we transition to the Q&A portion of today's events.
All right, thank you, Dan. And as a reminder to all of our customers joining us, we will have this presentation posted to the PGE website. That's pge.com/webinars, and it will take about a week or so to get the presentation and the recording posted there. So throughout the presentation, we have been getting a few questions coming in from you all. As a reminder, you can submit questions by clicking the Q&A box on your screen, and we will do our best to answer all the questions we receive. If we don't get to your question for some reason, or if you have a really specific question about your home, your business, you can reach out to our dedicated email address for the program, wildfiresafety@pge.com. With that, let's get started. We're going to bring in a few other team members here to help us with these questions. So for those of you who haven't spoken yet, please introduce yourself. I'm going to start with you, Justin, a question about our vegetation management program. Aaron asks, what's the best way to report trees that are a potential hazard, but they're not an immediate risk or emergency?
Hi, yeah, I'm Justin Kephart, and I'm the Vegetation Management Regional Manager for South Bay and Central Coast area. And the best way to report trees that are, a potential hazard but not immediate is the Report It app. It was shown, it's on the slide right now, pge.com/report it. If you're on an iPhone in the App Store, type in PG and E Report It. It's very easy to use. I've tested it out myself. It allows you to drop a pin where the hazard is. There's a drop-down list for basic categories of issues, and that would apply to not just vegetation issues, but other any issues such as leaning poles or damaged poles. And then you can take photos of the issue that are really helpful. Half the time we can triage the issue just based on the photos and determine next steps, and then we'll follow up with any actions if tree work is needed. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to come next to Matt, and Matt, you'll need to introduce yourself as well. Teresa mentioned some of the unique situations and the work we had going or have planned for undergrounding in the Almaden area. Can you give us a little more background there and talk customers through what we're doing?
Yeah, thank you, Dave, and good evening, everybody. So my name is Matt Schneiderman. I am the South Bay Regional Manager here. And yeah, I'd love to talk about this project. So, over the course of last year, approximately 5,000 customers in the Almaden area experienced about 15 different outages, mainly due to the EPSS settings that we have on our line. And as we've discussed, those are the safety settings to ensure that we are addressing, extreme weather and making sure that we're keeping everybody safe. Well, obviously, 15 outages is a lot, very impactful to our communities. And so our team went back and met with their engineering folks and did some investigations, and we came up with a creative solution to essentially separate, and I believe Teresa mentioned the number of customers, around 4,200 customers, to basically take those customers out of that EPSS enabled circuit. So what that means is if that circuit is now EPSS enabled, those customers who are taken out will no longer see the EPSS specifically related outages. Just to be clear, that's not no outages. Obviously, that's our goal. But specific to wildfire safety and EPSS, they would do that. And so we're now in the process of doing that. We're going through the planning, and it's basically all the way down Almaden Expressway. It's a huge project, but we're really excited about it. We think it's going to have a very positive impact on all of you.
All right, thank you, Matt. Next question, there's a question about the address alerts. This is one for me. I realize now that I didn't give the website for that when I was covering address alerts. So if you are interested in either you're not the account holder or you want information about potential PSPS events at any address, you can sign up for those address alerts at pge.com/address alerts. Pretty easy to remember, but thought I'd say it so people aren't looking for it. pge.com/address alerts. Matt, I'm going to come back to you. You were talking about the improvements for EPSS. There are some unique ones as well, right? Situations that we may not think about or realize can cause outages. Can you share maybe one of the unique situations that your team has dug into and determined as the cause of outages on EPSS circuits?
Sure. No, thank you, Dave. Yeah, so a really good example. So we have a circuit that runs west of Highway 101, basically from Bailey Road all the way down to Morgan Hill, and crisscrosses back and forth along the hillside there. And we were noticing a lot of outages, and we have a lot of technology that we use to identify where those outages are occurring and to look at data, but they don't always tell the full story. And after a number of outages, we were really scratching our heads, and so we took an old school approach and got some boots on the ground, or I should say additional boots on the ground, and did some sleuthing out in the hills. And between the data and our sleuthing, we actually found that there was a group of wild turkeys that were hanging out by one of our spans of wire, and they were taken off and smacking the wires together, which was leading to an outage. And because it was an EPSS enabled circuit, we're required to inspect the entire line, thus the extended outages. And so after a bunch of research, we were able to make some adjustments there, do some reframing, as we like to call it, to add some separation to those lines. And as of the fix, we have not experienced any outages in that area. So really good combination of new technology as well as some old school grit to get out into the field and identify something that is really tough to identify sometimes.
Great, thank you, Matt. That's a really good example of the team's dedication, right, and tenacity in making sure we try to find the causes of these outages and solve the problems at the root, right, so we can improve reliability for customers. So I'm going to take this next question. The question asks, when PG&E expects to be done undergrounding the 10,000 miles of electrical lines that our CEO, Patty Poppy, has committed to, and we've committed to as a company. So that's a little bit of a nuanced question, where while the undergrounding plan is not a linear plan, it's not, 10 years at 1,000 miles per year is 10,000 miles. It's going to ramp up over time as we continue to build out the plan, as we continue to evolve the undergrounding process, working with our vendors, our construction partners, right, the contractors doing the work, and as we get learnings from undergrounding in different areas, that'll allow us to increase the rate at which we're undergrounding. So for this year, we're targeting 350 miles in 2023. That'll put us a little over 600 miles since 2021 when we began doing some of this work. So that doesn't mean 350 miles a year. Divide 10,000 by that. Best estimates, this is somewhere in a 10-year-ish program to do this amount of work. It's about 1/3 of our overhead power lines in the high fire risk areas. If you want information on the undergrounding program as a whole, you can visit pge.com/undergrounding. There's a fact sheet there that has some more information. There's some additional detail on what I was just talking about, our targets for this year and our progress. And then if you're interested in your community or any community, specifically, toward the bottom of the undergrounding website, there's a drop down that says where the work is happening. If you click on that, it'll give you maps by county of our 2023 and 2024 undergrounding plans. And you can see where we have that work planned. Obviously, we're starting to think beyond that, right? Beyond 2024, and make sure we're doing our planning and all the things that it takes to undertake a significant effort like undergrounding 10,000 miles of overhead lines. But we haven't published those. Those plans are still being worked through in more detail. We need a little more clarity before we're sharing those via the maps. And then always customers can email us at wildfiresafety@pge.com if there are specific undergrounding questions. All right, I'm going to come back to our question list here. Give me just a moment. Get caught up. So I see a question about wildfire risk, and so maybe as we all know, we had the rains in the first quarter, or the first 3 months of this year. So maybe I'll start with Justin to see if you have any insight here, and then we can have the team follow up if they have anything they want to add. Given what we saw for rains, what do we think that means for our fire season in 2023?
And for fire season, I mean, we'll be monitoring conditions, but we're seeing a lot of growth and a lot of vegetation, especially grassland areas. So as that dries out, we'll be getting prepared for fire season to respond to that. It also could mean additional growth for vegetation and trees coming out of drought with a lot of water. We typically see more growth, but we'll be monitoring that through our annual inspection, and in the high fire threat districts, we do that second patrol to identify any trees that have declined or any conditions that have changed. The other item to probably cover is just tree planting. It's getting to springtime. This is often when Arbor Day comes around. So we have, as PG&E Vegetation Management, we support Arbor Day through local agencies, cities, and things like that through Arbor Day events, and provide trees and planting through that. But another message related to that is right tree, right place, and it should be in the links that were in the chat, but it's pgne.com/right tree, right place. That has information about tree planting. And the best thing to keep in mind when planting trees is really to be aware of what other facilities might be above or below ground. Basically, what's going to happen is that tree grows larger. Just an example, if you were planting a wood tree directly for the power lines, those trees get to be, 300 feet tall at maturity, just really not under. So, and what the tree grows time, and look for a suitable tree under the power lines, a smaller tree, or if you do have larger trees, make sure that it's a safe distance away. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. Before, I want to see if anyone has anything to add, but before that, I think it may have just been on my end, but in case it wasn't, we had a little IT issue there. So what you were talking about for customers there was right tree in right place means obviously if the power lines are 30 feet in the air, we don't want to plant a 100-foot tree underneath those, right? So use the resources that are available to help determine where certain things should and should not be planted. And then always, if you see a hazard or potential something that doesn't look right, something planted in the wrong area, you can use the Report It app that Justin shared with us earlier. If it's an immediate hazard, call that into us, 800-743-5000. If you see anything that's out there that looks to be an immediate safety hazard or causing a problem with the electric lines. I do want to come back and see, Justin talked about right tree, right place and planting. Is there anyone on the team who wants to add anything to that?
I would. Thank you, Dave. So, people are doing planting right now, as Jeremy was alluding to. We're digging in our backyards. We're starting our home improvement projects. We may have damaged fences or other equipment in our backyards that we're repairing. It's really imperative that folks call 811 before they dig so that they can get a free assessment of any kind of underground utility lines that are on their property. It's a 24/7 service that is free, multilingual service, and we'll have teams come out and mark. If you do have underground utility lines on your property, they'll come out and mark where they are so that you can be sure to avoid them, because it is not only dangerous, but it can be very costly to hit underground utilities and repair them. So just a reminder, given that it's springtime and people might be doing some digging in their backyard. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Teresa. And we do have one last question about how can we find this information? Folks who couldn't make it, community members who couldn't join us tonight, how do we ensure that we get that information into their hands? So this information is available at pge.com/webinars. So that we can, again, you can share it, feel free to share that, give us about a week, we'll post it there. If there are agency representatives or elected officials who are out and have a need for more of this information, we do have our public safety specialist team you can reach out to schedule more one-on-one type conversations about our community wildfire safety program. That would be fire departments, police department, county OES, those kind of folks. If you're not sure who that is, who your dedicated representative is for your area, you can email us at wildfiresafety@pge.com, and we can put you in touch with either your local government representative, government relations representative, or our public safety specialist team who can help get the information you need for your specific agency. I'm going to take one more pause, see if we have any other questions coming in. It looks like we have gone through all of them, so I will turn it back over to Teresa.
Great. Thank you so much, Dave, and thank you to all of my colleagues who joined me tonight, and thank you to all of our customers who participated as well. Appreciate you taking the time to join our wildfire safety webinar. As Dave said, you can find all of our webinars at pge.com/webinars. Feel free to share them on Nextdoor or with your neighborhood association or with your family. We also welcome your feedback and input as we continue to enhance and expand our wildfire safety work to better serve our customers and keep our communities safe. So if you have any questions and we weren't able to answer them, or you think about it later, please feel free to email us at wildfiresafety@pge.com. We also, I host an open town hall remote every quarter, and we send an email to all of our customers who we have email addresses for. So if you have not yet included your email addresses on your account, please do that. You will receive an invitation to a quarterly town hall where it's wide open, any subject that you'd like to discuss, and we'd be happy to help you there. So thank you so much. Appreciate your participation, and have a good and safe evening.